Okay, all Ben here from East West. A very special guest this week. So the man behind the handle Uranium Charts on X has very kindly lent his time for a chat about all things nuclear and uranium. So we're going to cover a ton of information in this video. So sit back and enjoy my fireside chat with the man behind the legend, who is Uranium Charts. Okay, guys, so I've got Uranium Charts, UC. How you going, brother?
Good, good. How are you, Ben?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to wrap a bit about some macro and a little bit of uranium. So we're just going to start here with a quite an interesting chart here. So we've got. You want to just talk us through this and what you see in this chart? What does it mean? What can people extract from it?
Basically, Ben, what we're showing here is a comparison chart. It's the energy complex, essentially. So a lot of people have the assumption fundamentals rule all. Uranium can go on its own. I've shared many charts showing the energy complex, different ETFs, liquidity models, etc. So this is just one example of CCJ basically tracking with XOP and XLB. So, they track pretty closely up and down together, especially recently since 2024 are almost identical. So we aren't immune to any big swings in the commodity complex. You want to have all these tailwinds behind you. Macro means a ton. News is nice, but macro means a ton.
So just for people who don't know, XLB is the material, like a materials ETF,
Yep,
and
base materials, yeah.
and XOP is a gas and oil ETF.
Yep.
So
So
what?
not exclusively anything to do with uranium, just energy.
Yeah, so just a general market barometer, if you will.
Absolutely.
Right. So what we're seeing here, of course, is that we are correlating quite well, as you've pointed out. The moves are similar. So as you said, you can almost see XLB's just had a little tail off. CCJ, has followed suit. XOP as well. So we've had that little corresponding wobble in the market. But what you're saying is we really need to pay attention here, right? Because if one of those sectors goes down, it's hard to see uranium running by itself.
Yeah, no, I mean, anecdotally on that chart as well, you can see some parts where, for example, XLB will dive and XOP or CCJ won't necessarily follow. It's not a one for one, but it is a barometer, right? Treat it as a barometer. Keep an eye on it. If they're diving and CCJ is hanging up, maybe just second guess yourself a little bit and say, hey, maybe there's a little bit of a correction in the offing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. That's a very good insight there. So let's skip over to another chart we've got here. Let's just clean this up. Right. So here we are with another comparison chart. So we have, of course, CCJ. We have the M2 money supply. We have the Nasdaq ETF, of course, and we've got something called the RESPAL, the Federal Reserve RESPAL. So what is that for people who don't know?
Yeah, I mean, M2 money supply, like you said, QQQ is a proxy for Nasdaq, and then ResBol is pretty unknown, but it's the Fed liquidity as it correlates to asset valuations.
Right.
So it tends to lead the energy complex by about 100 to 130 days.
Right.
So when you see that dropping, if you look again at this chart correlation, you can see that QQQ, CCJ tend to follow suit. Along with M2, it dropped, and we had a pretty tough 2022. As M2 grew, ResBol increased, pumping more liquidity into the system.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pretty good year last year. So you got to take that in consideration, right? What we want to see is trend up, macro tailwinds from energy. Spot price would be great to go up, and you want liquidity going up. You want more money injected into the system that is the market.
Okay. Yeah.
That's your ideal moon scenario, right?
Well, yes, because that's going to have a positive effect on all asset evaluations, I'd imagine. So, like I guess with this coming rate cut cycle coming in, liquidity is going to return to the market, you would think.
I would hope so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're in
Unless they're
trouble
cutting
if
for
it
the wrong
doesn't.
reason, and then we're in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, well, heaven forbid they might get the printer out again. But
Yeah. So my best case scenario would be that they're cutting into a fairly good economy. GDP continues to plug along, and QQQ continues to just trend higher up until the new year. That
Mm,
would be ideal. We
mm.
might follow suit. We might not end up putting a top. We might just carry on new highs.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. I mean, it's a runaway freight train, that market. I don't see how the bottom's going to drop out of it, but stranger things have happened.
You never say never.
You never say never. Any uranium holder would tell
Ugh.
you that. Now, okay, so we've just moved over to your charts here, mate. You're going to run us through a few names here. What do you got for us to start off?
So basically, I've just got an anecdotal little conversation I had with some golf buddies of mine. I golf with a couple groups of guys. They're into investing. They keep asking me about artificial intelligence and AI, and I just keep telling them the same thing. I'm not smart enough to invest in that. I don't know about compute. I don't know about AI. I don't think I can pick the handful of winners that'll come out of the next round of NVIDIAs and chip makers. So I said, well, I mean, what else am I supposed to do with this? Because they're always, they're already pretty highly valued. They're worth a couple trillion, right?
Yeah.
So I said, well, I mean, what's the secondary market? What's the offshoot plays? Well, you can get some of the metals that they're made to make the computer, the mainframes or the computers themselves, or you can just invest in the base materials or the energy source. And I said, oh, I never even thought of that. So
Mm.
yeah, well, if you go down the scale, you go down the fuel chain, all these companies are investing or wanting to invest in nuclear. So they're buying up nuclear power plants, restarting them. OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it, it's the new frontier. They all need clean power to meet their goals, and they all need it now because they're going to be building for the future. And this will be the next big deal in compute, AI, and basically supremacy in that field going forward. So it's a race.
We are seeing a lot of those news stories beginning to come out where they're starting to put two and two together about how much power they're going to need to run these data centers. And obviously, it's a huge amount. And as it sits, nuclear is the only thing that can really provide it today, if you know what I mean. So,
Exactly. And they need constant. They
yeah,
can't have zero break in their data centers,
yep,
wind, solar, nothing will cut it. And they can't just consume all the power off the grid.
no, no,
It's not going to happen. Then they'll soak up all the power for the entire country. So they need dedicated power, literally talking about having a plant right next to their data centers and just hardwired right in.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're having issues talking about even, stopping to refuel these things. They might even need backup SMRs or something just in the interim. Like it's going crazy, right? So even if you did a Google Trends search for nuclear, like we're all the way up at 100.
mm, mm,
Like this hasn't happened since 2022. So people are obviously cluing in. It is getting really, really hot. If you do a similar search for uranium stocks, unfortunately, it's hovering around 55. It's up, but it's still got a ways to go,
yeah,
right? So if you look at those secondary plays, right? So okay, well, where do we go from here? You go down the fuel chain, you look at SMRs, the nuclear builders themselves.
mm,
There really aren't that many,
mm,
right? So you've got SMR here, NuScale. I mean, I'd argue it's probably needs a little bit more consolidation at a hell of a rip off of 189. I wish I had the stones to. I think I bought it right in here, and then I bailed after they had some court battle issues come up and some unhappy shareholders. But anyways, so that's one of them, and then you've got CEG. Now they basically were the ones Constellation. They came out and did the deal with Microsoft.
oh yes, I talked about these the other week.
Yeah, so they're the
Mm,
ones that 20 years power, billions and billions of dollars restarting 3 Mile. So I mean, you'd argue again, it's had a hell of a run, weekly negative divergence here. So might need some time to cool off.
it seems to me like that'd be the sort of one where you'd just be sitting patiently for that pullback,
100%.
and
Yeah,
then
or like you posted in the past, you can just put nukes ETF and UKZ,
yeah,
right? You'll get a big portion of that without having the individual risk. So
yep, yep, for sure.
beautiful trend line here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
Pretty,
lovely.
pretty obvious. And then another Sam Altman. This is his baby next to OpenAI, right? So OKLO, they're going to be a small modular reactor now. They don't have approvals yet, but early days. This one, I was waiting right here around 509 for one more low, and I missed it,
Yeah.
and I kept kicking myself for that. But what are you going to do? But again, beautiful push off the lows, 5 up, looking for an ABC down into the fib retraces, and it'll probably give us a real nice inverse head and shoulders here.
Yeah, I
Once you
can see
clear
it.
that
Yeah.
red,
Mm,
it's lights out.
yeah. I mean, if you
Basically,
really, I've sort of pointed it out before. I mean, if you really didn't want to wait, you probably could buy and hold, but you've just got to be prepared to wear that potential
yeah.
downside. That's how I would look
Average
at that.
down, if it like for me, it'd be a long term hold. This Sam Altman's no joke. The guy's raised a lot of money. He's got a lot of deep pocket friends. I think they got 300 billion or something in cash. Like they've got some really nice nukes, but they still need permission. They still need approval. So it's a big hurdle. But when it clears, look out.
Yeah, well, these are the good ones, right? This is where the real value can come through. If you can just buy something like this and just withstand the sort of psychological pressure of it not going anywhere on you, because if it comes for that payday, well, it's going to be a handsome payday, right?
Absolutely, and I mean we'll see that next couple charts with ASPI. So
Yeah,
now you look down the fuel chain again, just going along my conversation with some of my
yeah.
friends. Okay, well, where are they going to get this fuel to fuel these reactors? Because they're going to need a bunch. They got some reactors sitting around that they can build somewhat quickly instead of starting from scratch. So you go Westinghouse, Orano, Rosatom, Enrichment, 10X, CNNC, Urenco. Technically, to me, not necessarily investable.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly any of them are listed. If they are, tough sled and Westinghouse, Cameco, Rosatom, good luck. Like, there's not a lot of options. So you go further down, and what's next? Well, miners,
Mm.
uranium,
Mm-hmm.
right? The base fuel.
Mm.
So when you look at the scope from nuclear fueling the immense growth of AI and America wanting to be at the frontier along with every other country, China, you name it, they all want a piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a huge energy demand.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of ways to play it as far as stocks or market is concerned at this point, other than the base metal, uranium.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice because if there's a ton of money that starts flooding into AI related stocks, well, you might see one heck of a ramp. It's not going to take a lot of money to move our industry, right?
Well, people are
So
they're going to be scurrying around looking for value. They're going to be looking for that on ramp into this massive sort of wave of new innovation that we're getting, and looking for where's undervalued sections. And
yeah,
we know that there is not enough uranium to meet demand, right? It just makes
absolutely.
sense when you follow it down. It just makes sense. It makes sense fundamentally that the thesis does make sense. Um, Getting through the price movement is something different, but 100%. It does make sense. It all just goes together. It's just going to take these things just always take longer than what people would like. That's the problem. It's sort of
100%.
slowly at first, then all at once. It's kind of one of those
Exactly.
scenarios.
Yep. And then along that same trend, ASBI, I've charted this one for a while. My UC2 guys did really good on this one. We picked up around $2, and we all bailed somewhere around up here in the fives.
Nice.
Yeah, that one panned out real nice. Now it's back testing these previous highs
Mm.
and the held support. That
Yeah.
was a nice buy at around 2. Now, whether this is part of a larger 4 or 5 up, or if we're going to come down all the way back into the ones to test this Y, not sure. There's a lot of resistance above, but you'd want to see this area here hold. But another one that does enrichment for SMRs. I think they spun that out, but you still get a part of it, and they do medical and industrial isotopes. So it's pretty cool company, and again, it's one of a handful.
Yeah.
Right. So again, very, very, very small sectors we've got here that there's going to be a pile of money just flooding for AI extension plays.
Yeah. 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 I can see it. That is a nice chart.
And so now when we get down into the uranium stocks themselves, this is probably what all of the viewers are probably tuning in to see.
Did you say viewers plural?
We'll see if we can get you up past 1,000, Ben. Don't worry.
Oh, dear me.
EU. Now, this one just wants to stay in this lovely channel right
Yeah,
here.
it's
Like
stuck.
every single time, even at the midline, like that was a beautiful buy right there. Even
Mm,
on the daily bullish divergence, like you can't ask for much more.
no.
So pretty clean, 5 up, ABC down. This one, ironically, the CAD one made a new low here, but the American did not. So it makes the
Right.
count coming out of the bottom a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But, you know, you do have a 3 off the bottom. So I'm expecting that unless this is part of 4, which I doubt because it looks a little nasty, but you could end up with something like this if Cameco reaches up to get that last fifth like we're expecting.
Yeah.
If not, you could count this as complete, and then you're probably winding yourself up for an ABC, and then you'd probably want to take a stab at it if you can get anything down here in this gray box.
Yeah, because it looks like we're close to overlapping the 1 there, so that would kind of lead you to think
Yeah,
that that's
exactly.
complete and that this correction will be, yeah, the first correction after the impulse off the bottom. I mean, that's the one you really want to grab a hold of if you can get it. So, it looks like we're a pretty good chance to be doing that now, and it'd almost be really nice to just come in and just test sort of that the top of that 1 and the top previously is,
Absolutely.
old resistance becoming new support. You can tie it all together.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Basically,
it's
take
pretty
this right across
yeah,
there,
yeah. It's pretty compelling. I would have thought.
just like that.
Yep,
There you
yep,
go.
100%. Basically, that looks pretty good.
And then once you break this red, it's go time. So
Yeah,
then at that point, the Elliottician in me would sit there and say, okay, well, we got our 1. Now these are the wrong labeling, but
yeah. No,
you
I
got your
got
1,
it.
and then you're off and going. Now you're a big boy 3 wave here, and
That's the
that's when
one.
things get real nice.
Yep, that's the
So
one.
that's what we want to see. You do not want to see it come down and start fiddling around down here, and especially losing these lows, because
Yeah,
then you're in for a larger, most likely something bigger, either WXY or an ABC coming, way down, something like this,
yeah.
and
I would
that's
I
going to
would
get real
agree.
nasty.
It feels like you'd need some sort of significant black swan to really do that at this stage, but you can never discount them because, as I say to people, it's like, well, if I'd have told you that, in December 2019 that some sort of mystery virus is going to wipe out half the stock market gains in 2 months, you would have laughed. So you
Absolutely.
just never know what's around the corner. But you plan for the best. You plan for the worst, but you expect the best. I mean, you can't really worry about that stuff unless it happens. So I think that the way that you present it, it's there's a lot of positivity here. There's a lot of stuff to get excited about, except this dog that you've just bought up, Energy Fuels. What a terrible stock.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh,
Hey, they made a nice acquisition. I'll give them that. Rare earth is going to be something because China's going to be coming for it all. So it'll pan out. But man, it's been a real dog.
yeah, hasn't it?
Um, Again, off the bottom, be a nice move. You could label this 2 different ways. You could say that's completed with a 4 or 5 here. You're starting your ABC down. You could also make a case that was a little bit of an extension 3-4 because the fibs. And if you run the fib here, it didn't even really come close to a proper 3.
Mm.
Right. So now you basically that 3 would be proper to 1618 extension. So you'd be looking for a 5 up here. All right. That's ideal. If you start breaking down past here, well, you know that you're most likely getting your ABC down.
Yep, yep, I would
So that's
agree.
something you gotta keep an eye on. Now this one here was zooming out. Yeah, like you said, it's not pretty.
Yeah, it's got a long
But
way to go to break that downtrend that it's in, but got a good
yeah,
start. Got a good start here, so
yeah, it'll catch back up. I'm not worried.
yeah, nice.
NXC, I mean, what can you say about this thing?
Oh, the
Money
lifestyle
floods in.
stock. Yeah.
Yeah, lifestyle indeed. Yeah, they sponsor just about everything, don't they? Um, I do think that this will probably, and I've heard some rumblings that this thing will probably be next to be taken out before it gets too valued. I think some of the big players are going to come in, whether it be from oil and gas or any other big sectors. At that market cap, that thing's worth a fortune. Like they can see it coming. They want to get back into that business.
Mm.
Again, I think it's got a little bit. It's lagging actually a little bit up until now, but I think it's got. This is your 1618. So that should be your 3 up there, 4 or 5. If not, you're basically guaranteed that this is going to pretty much be heading even further, because now you're talking an ABC up,
Yeah, that's right. And it's
right?
another
Now,
leg down.
yeah, now a lot of them, like this one here, is a little bit different. Like if you flip back to EU or some of the ones I'm gonna show here next, they've got some pretty clear five ups, and it's quite a stretch from the one like the AB.
Mm.
So the bear case is really starting to lose its legs here. So I think the bulls are in charge, and X something major happening in the markets and things falling apart, which I really don't see happening. I think there's a Fed put on the market right now with the elections and
Yep.
all the reinvestment money from an up year coming all the way till end of year. I really don't see anything hitting the skids until January, February, to be honest. So
Yeah.
if we can get things ripping here and the liquidity keeps pumping, we get another cut or two, we're off to the races.
I would agree. I
Um,
would agree.
UROY, another bit of a dog, this one.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's a spot proxy, right? So if your spot's not moving, U.UN and spot isn't buying, you can't expect much out of it. This one's in and out with spot, but again, this one's pretty clear. It's 1 through 5 up with a big rejection candle here. So
Yeah.
I would expect this one to consolidate and chill for a little bit. What that means for spot, who knows? But it had a pretty nasty washout. It came back and nicely tested this green line. I've been in and out of this one, but it's not something that I think I'm ready to hold just yet until it kind of clears these tops.
Yeah. Right. I see what you're saying. Wait and
Yeah,
see on that one.
yeah. I'm
Just let it
thinking something
form a
like
bigger
this,
trend. I think. Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 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 A pullback and it'll break
Laramide?
that 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was a very deep correction. It came right into, still got my drawing on, came right into 3-day, and that was the reversal. But it took a while to do it. But again, it's A, B, C down, big extension for C. And this one was another one, clear 5 up off the lows. So you got to love that.
Yeah.
There's a couple holes there to fill in if need be, but I'm assuming you might see just a slow grind down here for an ABC back down. And that would be a definite buying opportunity. Maybe set your stops down somewhere around here because these fibs are pretty high up.
They are. Yeah.
Like your
Um.
retrace fibs. Oof. Yeah, maybe even just past the 618 here.
Yep. Yep. That's on the watch and act list. I think.
Yeah, no, that one's it's getting a little stretched. So I don't know if I'd be putting fresh capital into there, but the count itself from a long term perspective is pretty clean.
Yep. Yep. I
So
like what you've put
you would
together there.
expect,
Yeah.
you'd expect to fire off for a 3 if the market behaves.
Yeah.
If not, you get some sort of nasty, fake out and back down, and then you can head off. But
Yeah.
I really don't see that happening at this
No,
point.
that looks a
I'm
little
I'm in
less
the
likely.
melt up camp for now.
Yep. Yep. That's unusual for you, isn't it?
I get a lot of hate. Trust me, I
Ah,
get a lot of hate for being, let's call it cautious. They call me a
uh,
bear, but I'm just cautious and I'm realistic.
uh,
So SYH, this one that's just can't break out that red. Once it goes, it's like once it gets past here, it's gone. But I think it's got a little bit of recoiling to do. Another head and shoulders coming in, and then it's going to challenge this orange line here, hopefully.
you look at that,
Um, I,
you almost want it down there. You almost want it to make that head and shoulder because it just sets it up even better. I reckon
yeah,
it looks better. It looks more convincing to go long.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And head and shoulders is one of the highest inverse and regular both have the highest success rate of any trading setup. Almost, I think it's around the 85 percentile.
Yeah.
So it's something you really need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
It's a
You're right.
really nice setup because you can absolutely catch that C down and not have a ton of real estate between that and the bottom.
Mm.
And this is just a big, huge Wyckoff consolidation.
Yeah. It looks
Now,
it.
it's taken a real long time in the SOS, so it's really warning people.
Mm-hmm.
Once it takes off, yeah, I see big things for this company. I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
it. I hold it, and that's a long-term hold for me.
Yeah. Nice. Beautiful.
Forces, so one of a few that's left over that's actually doing something in Africa. Again, nicely. I mean, you could argue that maybe this is your 3-4 over here, but it's just semantics.
Mm-hmm.
ABC. Now this one dipped a lot. I thought it was done down here. I took a stab, averaged down a couple times, and now I'm I'm up on the position that I added. So that's always nice. So
Sure.
this one here, it's a nice 1-2. It made a definitive higher low here, 1-2. Then it's another nice rip off of this bottom, and now I think either we're setting up for that 4, but it's getting real close to that top 1. So it either reaches up into this major weekly supply up here, and then you expect some bigger consolidation, or in here, maybe this was a truncated 5th, and you're already setting up for your ABC down and some consolidation. But none of these, like even CCJ, none of them reek off the tops of any kind of bearish impulse or pressure downward. I know we
Mm.
talked about this yesterday.
Mm.
It doesn't seem like there's a real hurry for the sellers to come in and just nail these things and start a big 5-wave C down.
No, it
It just
doesn't.
doesn't have that feeling.
No, not at all. Not at
You know,
all.
it's very nice, slow, constructive, nothing violent. And every time the market seems to want to sell off, just again watching QQQ, there just seems to be this invisible hand holding everything up, and just the money just keeps flooding in. So as
Yeah.
long as that keeps going, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree there.
MGA, now this one's a little messy. Honestly, I don't even know what to do with this. Like,
Ooh,
I don't know
yeah.
if you can. I can't make a count out of this at all. To me, it's just
Uh,
nasty.
yeah.
That now
No.
that made a nice move down. 5 ABC, pretty nice. But then this is just suspect to me.
Yeah, that doesn't
So
look impulsive to me.
and then again, I mean, like it's an NXC proxy, right? When next gen moves, this moves. It's been lagging a bit, but if NXC keeps pushing up, or even if there's takeout rumors, this thing holds a ton of NXC share, or vice versa. I forget which one, but yeah, it'll pop. So yeah, it's a long term hold for me. I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Okay, that's nice.
Few more of the small caps, and then we'll wrap up this part.
Yep.
ISO. So this one again just highlighted really nice ABC down, like 5, 3,
3.
3, 3,
Yep.
and 5
Yep.
down. Like
Yep.
that's
Perfect.
that's picture perfect,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
5 off the lows. Now you again, like I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You could eventually see one more low here, but ah, I don't know. It looks too clean. Impulse ABC down, and then another impulse off the low. That I'm really starting to rule out these extra legs down. Again, just the reaction from the top doesn't scream of that to me, and I don't know. Until I
Yeah.
see a flush out of some sort, I'm not really thinking that's going to be the case.
Yep.
You could count this as a completion, some sort of triangle 3-4-5, and then we're starting an ABC down. Could also obviously be another 5 up like some of the rest of them. So we're just kind of in a little bit of no man's land right now, right?
Yeah,
You want to be a
that correction's just stretched out a long time, hasn't it? So it's
yeah.
time wise, it's
It's
a little bit sticky.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you could buy down here. You could have had your 4, and then you're looking for the 5 up. But once it starts just meandering, it's a little bit of a warning shot. And this one trades pretty thinly though, so you never know. But your gray zones, your fib retraces, if it starts falling below here, I'd be a little cautious.
Yeah.
But it at least it came in. It powered right up, it took out this local high.
Yeah.
So it's nice to consolidate here, gain its feet again, and then go on again.
I think
Right? There's
just
not a lot of resistance up above.
no, I think just
So
basically for me, I'd be either waiting for the grey box or the break of the orange box, but otherwise, I'd just be
100%.
just steer clear until it shows you something
Yep.
definitive. I think.
Yeah. Unless you're buying down here or you're selling up here, you got no business being in any of these. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be starting any positions at this point until we've confirmed a three wave down, or a solid 5th with some sort of divergence on a rejection.
Yep. Agree.
WC Western, so vanadium and uranium. Vanadium, I think, will probably catch some people off guard in the next few years, but another one 5 off the lows. This one channeled really nice with two triangle or 5s down, 3 up, 5 down, and then it just kind of took off. Starting to struggle a little bit. Again, you could make the argument well, actually, you can't. That's pretty definitive now. It's in the realm of one. So now you're in already started your correction territory, but it's already
Yeah.
down about 50% from the high. So I can't imagine if it goes any lower, then warning flags start to get pulled out, and it could be in trouble here. But again, I mean, down in here, you got to be a buyer, and then just hoping that this bottom holds.
Looks like pretty good consolidation in that little area that it's just sitting in now, though.
Yeah, 100%. You could
It's,
probably draw a nice trend channel here and
yeah.
call it a day. You've also got an inverse head and shoulders,
Yep. Yep.
head, shoulder, head, neck,
Yep.
and then you just have this top channel that's held it since 2024, and off you go. So you'd be expecting this would be, your for the bulls out there. That's your one, your two, and then off you get.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
Yeah.
you're making bank. You want to see it come and challenge this big red zone here, and if we zoom out, it's just a monstrous head and shoulders. Just a
Ah,
big,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
big. Like this is gigantic, right?
Yeah.
So once you crack this, you're gone.
Yep. I see
So
exactly what you're saying.
hopefully that's the case. And again, one of the long term holds. I'll buy on some weakness. I think I was down here buying. I posted on UC2. Some of the boys ended up buying in there, and one of the guys even shared the chart with me. He said, "Oh, nice buy there, UC2." I said, "Oh shit, I forgot about that chart."
Yeah.
He had snagged some right down here. I said, "Wow, I charted that months ago."
Yeah. Nice. Very good.
Couple more here before we finish up with the juniors. I know people like the juniors; they want to see what they're invested in and see how it's going. So we'll skim through some of them.
Sure.
I like to stick to the OGs, the originals, not
Yeah.
any of the new issues or any of the other. Just stick to the ones that were there in 2018, and they'll probably be around in another few years, right?
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, we're going to just slip over now and have a look at Denison and a few of the other juniors.
Yeah, so Denison, another really good miner out in the Athabasca. This could be counted a few different ways. I mean, I prefer to stick with ABC's WXY given it is a commodity. A lot of people, think 1 through 5, and then it's another, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and off of it just doesn't work. Commodities are cyclical. They don't run in 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 like Nvidia and all these big companies are actually making revenue. It just doesn't work that way. So
Yep.
you generally want to stick to ABCs even just through the decades. It tends to work out.
Kind of
For
like
argument's sake,
kind
I
of
just
like
put them both.
bonds and currencies where they're almost
Yeah,
always in correction. They're not like stock indexes that can be just expected to perpetually rise like forever.
exactly. Right. Like
Yeah.
they're not cash cows. They'll make money for a while, and then Uranium will go back in the dumps, and we'll all cry about it. And then, in another 15 years, we'll all be back to the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
So, again, just like EU, it was in this big trend, had a real nasty fake out here. I'm sure a ton of bulls got caught, head and shoulders, and then down it went. So if you count this out from the low, 5, either A or 1, a nice big long correction, A, B, C, or bigger B or 2.
Mm.
And then this is real messy. I'm not even going to try and count that. Let's
Nah,
just assume, for
it's
argument's
horrible.
sake, it's 5 up.
Mm. Well, it
But
looks
again,
impulsive. It doesn't look correct, but it's not steep, but
exactly.
it's steady up, right? So
It,
it
it
followed the market.
it's a methodology at the end of the day, right? Like nothing's perfect,
No,
especially Elliott wave. It's a
100.
tool.
Yep.
So again, you got your midline, 1, 2, back here 3. So you've had a lot of interactions, and sure enough, boom,
Yep.
right on it, like
Mm-hmm.
just perfect, right? That was your buy right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this did make a final fifth down. I noticed most of them did come down in September
Yeah.
and make a new low, with the exception of CCJ and URA, I think.
Mm.
Now, those ones might have truncated fifth, or they were just a more complex correction. But yeah, so most of the juniors did come down and make a proper on daily divergence, which I did post in UC1 and 2. I think it was like a day later. So
Yep.
if you're on top of that for a swing, you're up 40, 50, 60% easy.
Yeah.
Just another beautiful reaction off the lows. Like that's just mint, right? Like
Yeah. It's
all,
great.
your fibs are probably all just, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
1618,
Everything's clean. Yep.
beautiful.
Yep.
Like can't ask for much more. So this one will probably come in and do a little bit of a correction mode here, and to be expected. 236 for 4, up for 5. Like that's just mint.
Yep.
So nothing wrong with that. You started your kind of just your sideways, going nowhere type of action, that's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
You get a nice little ABC down. You want to probably target somewhere in this region here for a buy. Lines up with this top nicely. That's where you want to start hammering away, and then just keep an eye on it. Set some stops below the next low if you'd like, whatever you choose, and then hopefully this again for the bulls. Hopefully we get one of these and we're just humming along. And then things get real, and hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get wife-changing gains, as they say.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the uranium homies slang terms of getting a hotter lady because they're going to be rich. So there you go, boys. There's your rich right there.
As
And
long as
then
mate, as long as you cash in, that's the you've got to have an off ramp. At
well,
some
hey,
stage, you
you
do
got
have to turn it into money because
you
she
got to
ain't going to marry
sell.
a share certificate.
It's I forget who it is. I think it was Doug Casey. He always says, stocks aren't family heirlooms; they're matches. They're burning
That's
matches.
right.
So you got to make sure that when you start pumping tunes and headbanging and getting happy and running to tell the wife that you may leave, that honey, big grin on your face, we done it. It's probably time to bail or at least sell a good chunk and then just ride the rest with some stops and call it a day. Don't
Yes.
get greedy. This
Yes.
market will take you for every dollar.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing wrong with taking chips off the table. I mean, I've talked about it before. The psychological impact of seeing something that you sold at $50 go to 70 is not as bad as seeing something that went to $50 and then it goes down to 25, and you're like, oh, why didn't I sell it at 50? You get the path of least regret is to cash the chips every time, every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, well, UEC, right? This is another fan favorite.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately, it doesn't suit my Canadian account very good with the conversion. We get absolutely destroyed. So I wish they would come out with a Canadian ticker. Maybe I'd participate a little more than I do. But again, ABC, you could mark this easily as series of ABCs and WXYs. Just nice correction here. ABCDE down, hit this big orange trend line that I noted. Unfortunately, I think down here it was in the middle of some short report, and I didn't pull the trigger. I got gun happy, or I got scared a little bit with the short report. I said, "Oh crap, maybe it's coming down to this gray," and
mm.
sure enough, I missed it. But I got in for a bit of it. It's all good.
No, you can't
But
get everything. I mean, I think that's the thing. You
nah,
can't be on every pivot. You just some of you are going to
nah,
get away from you, but you just got to maximize the one. Maximize on the ones that you do get. I think is the
yeah.
key.
Or if anything, just try and get in on one of these twos. Just we're about to hopefully see something similar, right? One,
Yeah.
two, and then away she goes, and then your risk is only this.
Yep.
So you gotta be cautious out there. You gotta watch your money because you're gonna end up with none.
Yep.
And then when things really take off, you're not gonna look real good.
No.
Again, nice big ABC 1, 2, 3, 4 down. This one did take out the low again, so another one that did take out the low. And then I'm still waiting. I think this might extend. We're coiling here probably for a fifth coming up, maybe to test these tops.
Kind of looks that way. It doesn't look like a completed
Yeah,
five to me just yet.
no, definitely not. And again, if you were to run these fibs, that's a very small two right
Yeah,
here. But the
tiny.
market was real bullish with
Oh
news,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
and that lines up perfect again for three.
It
Like
does. It
again, you
does.
can't complain at that. You'd expect just a little more of this for a little DE, and then off you go, and then watch for a divergence to form, either on 2 hour, 4 hour daily, and then if you want to play around, get out, but don't be pissed if it takes off on you.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And then just got, I think, one of the ETFs left. URNM. I'm going to skip URA. It's been pretty much done
Yeah.
by just about everybody. Um, Now this one, like just to throw a teeny little wrench in things for the Bulls. Just I don't want to give them all this hope that we're going to be going up for this big bad three without showing them something a little nasty first. So there's a few different options here. I like to always map out a bull, a bear, and then I'm not sure.
I agree.
So this has got both. So you've got your red ABC correction should have been completed, and then we'll just toss this red to go with that. And then again, you're probably going to come in with your one somewhere around here, your two, and then away you go.
Yep.
Now conversely, you could make an argument that we're in some sort of larger ABC, and this a little bit resembles to me UUUU.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
know everybody's going, oh no, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Not that dog.
Yep.
But if we were to do these side by side, just give me a minute here while
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
get this to you. There we go. Energy fuels. Now, you can't help but think that this top here didn't quite make the highs, but you had two peaks. A consolidation phase is basically a triangle, a rip higher, kind of a fail, and then you've come back up to test these bottoms. Now, if you look at this, it looks eerily similar, and you'd be right about here,
Mm.
where it's coming back to test those bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's these patterns that replay in my mind all the time that just won't let me go full bull. And this is why I always post up the hey, be careful charts, and everybody hates on them. But a lot of times they end up being right. That UUU one, I think I posted it for like a year, and it came out to actually be
Yeah.
spot on. And so yeah, just when you get up in here, be careful. You don't be looking for I'm gonna buy the break. No, don't be screwing around up in here. Like this is just if you're holding great, you want to just ride it out cool, but just either sell and then buy a confirmed breakout, or sell and try and wait for a two, because this could easily turn into an A B C up, and then that's your A, and then you've got your B, and then
Yeah.
down we go
Yeah.
for
I
another
see.
big C, right?
I see. I see it.
So again, like it was a really strong move. You can't argue that. Like that's a pretty big move off news. The market was behind it. Liquidity's coming in. Fed's cutting. Everything's
Everything.
behind you. There's
Yeah.
news literally every day.
Yep.
I find it hard to believe, but I always leave that on my charts as a reminder
Yeah. I think it's
that
smart.
hey, don't get too bullish, because this purple B is sitting right here, and that could be the end of it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's not somewhere I'd be buying. It's somewhere I'm watching intently. But like if you're not, I would sort of look at it like this: if you're not in and you've got FOMO, this is a bad place to succumb to that FOMO. That's what I would say. Which isn't
precisely.
to say that in 2 weeks' time it's not above the all-time highs, and if it is, well, so be it. But just on a odds-wise, I'd just be waiting for some sort of pullback, and even if it goes on a tremendous run and breaks that all-time high, I'd just be looking for the consolidation back to test the old highs. It just to me looks like not a good place to initiate longs, because you've got a good chance there of putting yourself under psychological pressure as the market corrects. And then the worst thing you can do is having bought in here and then all of a sudden you're puking in the low 40s going, oh, well, this didn't work. And that's,
Absolutely.
like I keep telling myself before I do anything in the markets, it's like, is this where you want to buy or is this where you want to sell? Because the worst thing you can do is well, especially in stop placements, it's like you've got to make sure that you're not selling out where you should be buying, and that you're not buying back where you should be selling. I mean, that's I've done it that many times in my career. It's just like, okay, here's my stop.
We've all been there.
Should I be buying here or selling? This is more where
Yeah.
I'd want to buy. So for goodness sake, don't sell there. And this
Yeah.
is the same thing here. I wouldn't be buying here, not necessarily.
Yeah, and it you could have an impulse like, look, this to the eye would be impulsive,
Yeah,
and look what happened,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Like there's a real fat chance that you're going to end up with this.
yeah,
Like
yeah, for
it's
sure.
just so highly unlikely, right? There's going to be at least something like this, and then up, and then back test, and then off. Like you're unless it would have to be the most bullish market of all time, and there would have to be some crazy, especially for an ETF, to go and go berserk like that. Like just pick your spots. If you're in, cool, sit, do nothing, right? You can sell if you want, sell a half, I don't care. But just yeah, like you said, if you're looking to build a position, my lord, do not be buying anywhere up here.
Not
Like
yet.
right, even right now, you're in no man's land, and you're right, sitting on these previous lows and a little bit of a consolidation before the puke here. So
Yeah,
you're getting into bear territory there, where they're going to start to put some pressure, and I think you could probably eventually tell that the buyers might be running out of steam.
very
You
important to
start
fight.
trending sideways,
Yeah,
right?
very important to fight the FOMO here.
Absolutely. So I
which
mean, I
isn't
think
to
that,
say that it won't rip higher, but just,
no,
you
never
know,
say
like,
never, right?
never say
Like,
never,
and
but it can definitely be wrong, and it can be a lot higher next week. But just the odds are, and just from our accumulated experience of how how all markets move, not just uranium, just general auction theory of buyers and sellers, it just doesn't look like a good value area.
absolutely not.
Mm.
Absolutely not. Now, if you do end up, if it does end up taking off, well, on the bigger time frame, you would be expecting, and this is, keep in mind, this is an ETF, right? So you would be expecting something in this neighborhood,
Mm.
right? Your A, B, your B would be down over here, but you could, and that would be it, right? A, B, C, and it's over.
Yeah.
But you can't kick at that if you bought anywhere, sub $35. If you bailed out at 120, well, that means that your juniors and your mid caps and your producers, they all went, probably 2, 3, 4x. I mean,
Oh,
I've seen videos posted on YouTube just make me want to barf. Somebody with this thinking face, and can UEC 25x from here? Are you nuts, man?
I've seen
Like,
that guy. Yeah.
it's just insane. Like, it's just pure stupidity. I'd be happy, honestly, if I got a 2 or 3x at this point. I've made my money since the 2020 lows. I've been in this since 2018.
Yeah. Well, that's
We've all
realistic.
done well,
Yeah, that's
but
realistic.
two or 3x, and I'm a happy camper, and I'm probably going to bail and on to the next thing.
Yeah.
There'll be some other market. They'll be in the same place uranium was in 2018, 2019,
Yeah, it
and
could,
you just
and
start
it, you
doing
know
your
what?
research.
It could be copper.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could
copper's
be
another part of the equation that could be not being looked at closely enough because they're going to need a lot of copper, a lot.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
if all these everything's going to get build out, and you're going to end up, guaranteed, I don't care who's president, you're going to end up probably with another 5, 6, 7 trillion in debt.
Yep.
They're just gonna It's just gonna get flooded,
Yeah.
and everything will flow down to commodities. I think we're still several years into the super cycle. So just I hate to say it because we've all been long in this trade and it's been a while, but you just gotta stay patient.
Yep.
Our time's coming. You're gonna make your money. You might have to suffer a bit between now and then, but it's coming. It's the fundamentals and the picture moving forward, especially with all this new AI stuff, is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
It's a very exciting time. But like the old saying goes, you don't get paid to be right. You get paid to be patient. So being able to just sit on your hands, recognize the corrections, ride them out, see when they're finishing, and then look forward to more. I mean, and I think that's what we're seeing across all these charts.
Now, if you are a mega Uber bull, turn your screens off, take a coffee break, put it on pause, or just walk away because this next little bit will not be for you.
Well, we've got to have a balanced view here.
So, I mean, if you are to take you CCJ,
Mm.
and let me just compress this a bit here so we're getting too much data. All right. You take CCJ and you take the Fed funds rate. So it's, again, pretty similar to the path that we're in trajectory we took leading up to 2007. Now, I'm
Sure.
not saying we're going for a banking crisis. All right. Crack spreads and credit are breaking down to new lows, which again is extremely bullish for the market. It's
Hmm.
basically them saying, look, there's no financial stress out there. So I'm
No.
not worried about that.
No.
However, you can't help but look at this and look at it twice and look at it a third time. That when I'm not going to bother putting anything, it's going to bring all my other stuff back on, but we had this return to normal, quote unquote, high that failed right when the Fed started cutting. Like, you can't unsee this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, we need to consolidate, at least maybe take out that top and then come back for a two. If you just straight puke from here, it's not a good look, especially if they keep cutting. If they keep cutting and they keep cutting big, which again, based on the data today, even jobs data, CPI came in hot. I highly doubt it. I think they're going to be either 25s or hold.
Yep.
They're no longer political past November. So,
I agree.
um, you
Well,
know,
unless Trump wins and takes over the Fed, and that could be a whole new ball
well,
game.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
1%
never,
rates,
yeah,
1% rates, and 10% inflation. Just
Yeah, hey, it could
S&P
happen.
at
I mean,
20,000,
honestly,
just go.
I don't even care who's going to be president. I think
Uh,
inflation's going to come roaring back with either of them, to be honest. But
yeah, it does sort of
yeah,
feel like it's not beaten yet. But anyway,
even if you look at the stochastic right at the bottom, this is a weekly time frame where you had this one last height, and then Fed's fund came down, broke the zero line, came back, barely made it above, and then started to dip. Right now, we are basically doing that exact same thing, right? Cross zero, it's coming back, starting to peak. If it fails, it is a warning shot,
sure.
right? You have, an RSI that's continuously diverging here. And then again, you've got an RSI that's diverging here week after week after week,
Yep.
right? So again, like you always say, it's a warning shot.
Yep.
It's a be careful. Either take some out if you're concerned. Like I said, I'm looking. Hopefully, it breaks this top and then comes back down, and that would make me feel a little bit better. But this is just something I can't unsee.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
too familiar, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know if you had it or not, but just the inverse chart. You want me to?
Yeah, mate, you whack it up.
All right, let's pop that on.
Yeah, because it's it's kind of interesting. People will probably laugh at it, but I
Yeah,
think
well,
it's an interesting exercise. You just to stay balanced. Really just to stay balanced in your view.
yeah. And
So
so again, people, we know this is upside down. We
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Before we get all the hate in the comments, don't worry.
yeah,
But you'd argue again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you made, a little bit of a head and shoulder. It's a little ugly, but again, you had your 5 down, inverse head and shoulder here, and then just,
mm,
I mean, this is a financial crisis. It's kind of hard
yeah,
to argue
isn't it?
that.
Yeah,
But again, it looks very, very similar. And even if I'm a buyer, right? Look at that. That's spot on. I would be buying this spot right here. And then
yeah. I
I would be
mean,
putting my
yeah.
stop somewhere
If
under there.
yeah, that's exactly right. If you were, if you didn't know what this was and you just said where would you be a buyer of this chart, well, that's exactly where you'd be a buyer.
100%. Because you just took out this previous high,
Yep,
impulsive, 1, 2, 3, 4,
yep,
5,
yep.
came down. If this holds, you're a buyer. And again, hate to point this out, Captain Obvious, but this is inverse.
Yeah,
So that means bad.
yeah. That means
So,
bad.
again, I would really hate to see this fail here and just start tanking. That would be a really, really bad sign for the entire sector moving forward.
It would.
I do
Yeah.
not want to see that at all.
No, I think that the important thing is here is like, and that's not what we're saying is going to happen, but the important
No,
thing is here
absolutely not.
just recognizing that it can happen, and if it does, the only thing you've really got to do is have a plan in place of how you're going to deal with it, because it's too late once it's been destroyed. You go, oh, well now I better think about what I'm going to do. You just want to have a plan in place to think, okay, well, where's the ultimate point where I don't want to be involved in this anymore. What makes logical sense that this thing has got more downside. They're the points you've got to pick out, I think.
Oh, there's my uranium stock. So yeah, it's a 55 on Google Trends.
Yeah.
It's average for the last year.
Mm.
Back in look at that, July. That's interesting. Anyways, so yeah, I mean CCJ. I posted this up the other day. I don't know if it was on UC1 or two, but I'm not taking this I'm taking that as a truncated 5. I think this was the ultimate low that I'm starting my count from. I
Yep.
don't think this was a 1, 2.
Yeah, it doesn't
That's
fit very
just
well.
that's a 5 down, and that's nasty. That is not impulsive. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
uh, I'm
It's
taking
yeah.
that as
I think
truncated for sure.
yeah, I just think off that low, it's just so clear. You've just got to start basing your bull case from there. Either way, you know what I mean. I mean,
And then
it's
if you want to zoom out a
negligible.
little bit,
It's close to a double bottom,
yeah.
right? You can sort of just
Oh,
go
100%.
fuck it.
Yeah, I mean that's almost a wick. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then if you look, you've got a big megaphone here. I posted this. I think it was down here, maybe even, or down here coming back down, but posted that a while ago. So big, huge megaphone. It held, and then it held this low again. So I mean, that's a nice pattern. Again, you want to see it come up here and make a new high, and then
Yeah,
fall back down, right? So like
yeah,
that blue path is kind of what I'm eyeing for right now.
yeah,
Again,
yeah. I
I
agree
think I
with that.
posted on both channels.
Mm.
I think there's a good chance that this was an extended 3. I don't see this as being the pinnacle or the 5
No,
of this guy here, right? So
no.
I think we're just going to settle down. There's a ton of support in these boxes here, so there's a lot of demand: daily, 3 daily, 4 hour. So once it passes this 4 hour demand here, you'll be toying with new all-time highs, and then I feel like it'll fail, trap some bulls, and then off we go again once it consolidates.
Yep.
So like you said in your video last week, which I totally agree, this as a completion, it just doesn't line up with the fibs nicely.
No, it
As
doesn't feel like it. Just doesn't. Your
Yeah,
gut just says, no, that's not done yet. That's got a bit more in it,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Something like this to me, new high, trick everybody,
Mm,
dump, and then your 50 fib lays kind of right on this previous 4 and kind of like this top, and somewhere in this area here would be a nice buy if you were. So like I posted a couple weeks ago, probably in that 44 to 48 zone,
yeah, I'd
something like
agree.
that.
That'd be nice. That would
Yeah,
be
and I mean,
very
hey,
nice.
look, at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of monkeys with a computer trying to guess where stocks are going.
Oh no,
It's just, it's our version of casino.
we're children with crayons, aren't we? Just children with
Exactly. We're
colourful
just
crayons doing scribbles on bits of paper, and
scribbly lines that sometimes come true. Exactly. TA's all
100%.
voodoo, right? It's all shit.
Apparently so, mate. This has been
So
unreal. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. I think you've given some really valuable insights through all this. So, I really hope there's a few people out there that get something from this. We should just do this again.
yeah, hey, if you get enough responses, people get out there, watch, like, and subscribe to Ben's channel. He's been literally spot on for like years. There's so much trash and garbage out there. Yeah, just charting and everything else. It's just it's not being realistic. I get it's for clicks and views, but like at the end of the day, like you're here to make money. You're here to learn. If you want to do that, follow the guy, give him some like and subscribes. We don't want to see any of this crap 24/7. Like this just drives us both bananas. We
Well,
all know who it is and who they are, and
it doesn't happen
you
that way.
literally mute them. It's just jokes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If they get a trend line wrong, they just move it or redraw it or some BS, and it never ends. They're
yeah.
never right, and if they are, they'll make sure everybody hears about it. So you know,
No doubt, no doubt. Anyway, mate, we will.
yeah. If there's enough people that are interested, I'll pop it up on my social. You do the same, and
Yeah,
hey, if we get some views, great. We'll do it again.
awesome, mate. Thank you so much for talking to me today. And mate, enjoy your weekend and your Friday, and we will converse soon.
Yes, sir. I'm hitting the links tomorrow, so I'm a happy camper.
Excellent. Thank you very
All right,
much,
take
mate.
care, Ben.
So that was it, guys. That was a great privilege to speak to UC today, and for him to share some of his insights and some of his ideas on the charts as they sit. Wow, what a treat! So, look, guys, if you like that, then let us know. Put something in the comments if you want to see more of these style of videos. If there's names that have been covered here, I'll also leave a link in the description to Uranium Charts X handle. If you're on X, formerly Twitter, then you should definitely give him a follow. He will provide you with a tremendous amount of insights. So that is it for this very special video this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the not too distant future. Best of luck. Bye for now.